Okay, so number 18, we have this melodic phrasing etude here. Couple things about this one. I would say the first thing I want to mention is really making sure that your rhythms are all correct in here. Okay, so when you're auditioning with this one, there's lots of little notes. So we have eighth notes, we have sixteenths, we have 30-seconds, we have that 16th sextuplet there in measure 12. So there's lots of different note values that have to relate correctly to one another. And so that would be the first thing I would make sure that I nail, is getting all the rhythms. Now, one way to do this, of course, is to put your metronome on the eighth note click. So you hear the eighth note click rather than the quarter note click, okay? I think eventually we want to feel the quarter note click. I think it'll help it be more musical and more natural to feel the big beat. But when we're learning all of these little notes and making sure that we're putting all those 30 seconds in exactly the right part of the measure, then I think it's helpful to have your metronome on the eighth click. So if I put my metronome on the eighth click, and now I'm using 66 here as my bass tempo. I know the range is 60 to 69. I like to just take the edge off it a little bit. It's a phrasing etude. But if I put my metronome on that eighth note click, now I'm really making sure that things like measure 10, making sure that I'm starting these 30-second notes on the and of big beat 2 there, right? So things like that. Just making sure that all those notes are where they need to be, okay? Now, obviously that's at tempo. I would turn the tempo down, start slower when you're learning all these 30-second notes, all right? It doesn't matter what tempo you use, start slow, start it at a tempo that you can play all of 30 seconds, but still make sure that you can hear that eighth note division and that you're putting the 30-second notes in the correct spot. Now, measure 13 here, take a look at this. This is a tricky little measure. One thing I want you to really think about is nailing the first 5 notes here, all right? I feel like if you can nail the first 5 notes of that measure, the rest of it will be a little bit easier, okay? So I would practice just those first 5 notes. And you can keep your right hand fingers down when you go from the A to the B to the back to the A to the G sharp to the A. I would become a genius at that, okay? I really recommend that you nail that. You get that really, really good. Because if you can nail those first 5 notes, I feel like this part, I feel like that part is a little more straightforward. So getting the measure started off well, I think, is going to be the key to getting a successful execution of that measure. Now, again, you can put your metronome on the 8th click and just practice those first 5 notes. And again, that's tempo, so go slower if you need to do this a little bit slower. But really get good at that, all right? And then you can practice the rest of it separately. All right? Then put the 2 together. But that's how I would attack that particular spot right there. Get really, really good at those first 5 notes. Nail it. Because if you get those first 5 notes, I think your chances of just sailing through that measure go way up, okay? Measure 15, we've got more 30-second notes here in measure 15, and you see that the 4th note in that measure is an A sharp, all right? Now, you can play that A sharp like you probably normally would on the side here, using side A sharp. Remember, it's enharmonic with B flat, right? So that's side B flat, A sharp in this case. All right. Like I mentioned with the previous etude, number 24, I'm going to use 1 and 1 for this A sharp right here. I'm coming from the D, I go down to 1 and 1 for the A sharp, and then I just lift up that first finger for the B, all right? So, you don't have to do that. You can use the side A sharp there, it's fine. But if the 1 and 1, A sharp or B flat, okay, is working on your clarinet, and in the last video for number 24, we discussed why it might not be working, okay? If it's working, you might fool around with that and see what you think. It might feel awkward at first, but because I'm coming down from a D, then I'm going to that A sharp, then I just lift up that first finger for the B, all right? I find that a little bit easier, but you can do it either way, all right? There's certainly no requirement that you do it any particular way. Let's see, the next thing I want to mention is the trill at the end of this. I really would recommend that you try to make the trill graceful, you make it musical. There's a retard leading into the trill and a fermata on the trill. So really we can do what we want there. So make it musical. Do something with it. Let's try to avoid making it as fast as you can. All right. It's a slower melodic phrasing etude. So let's make something musical out of it. All right. I think that's pretty much what I wanted to discuss on this one. Good luck with your preparation and good luck with your tryout.